Hey everybody, it's Rolly. Welcome back to day 25 of our Soulful journey. So we've got 5 days left. That's it. We are almost done this 30-day journey together. And for those of you who have been commenting and sharing, I am so thankful and welcome all of the feels, all of the feedback, all of the information that you guys have going on. So we are almost there. There's not much left of this particular challenge to go through. And so we are going to continue today with your emotional vocabulary. So today I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to, for those of you who can actually see my screen, I'm going to be sharing one of the pages from the emotion wheel, and which is one of the actual takeaways. And so this is an activity that can actually help you identify your emotions. And so you're actually going to be able to build your own emotional wheel. And I'm just going to show you what it looks like as we kind of go along. But first, I'm going to talk about a few things, and then I'm going to share. And then if this is something that you guys want a copy of, info@rollyallaire.ca is how you're going to be able to get it. And so we're going to start off with talking about our feelings. And so feelings is something that I hear a lot about not wanting to share, because when we bring up feelings, we either bring up emotions that we are not comfortable with, or that we don't want to share, or that we don't want to have anything to do with. And so this is why being able to talk about your emotions makes a huge difference. So earlier this week, I talked about being able to identify some feelings, and sometimes they're masked in other feelings. And so that is something that is really important for us to be able to talk about and make reference to, and understand where some of that is coming from. Because a lot of times we look at everything as black and white. We're either happy or sad. We are either happy or angry. There's like no in between, but a lot of times there are in between feelings. So it's really important for us to be able to have a look at what are some of these other emotions that are going on. And so when we look at our emotions beyond those happy and sad feelings, or those black and white feelings, because there's a lot of times things that are in between. So sometimes we might be feeling teary because we are feeling sad, or we might be teary because we are really happy, or sometimes it's a combination of both. And so it's just really important that we actually look at what is going on with our feelings, because one word doesn't cut it. And so sometimes when we were talking about, so we used frustration as an example earlier this week, where we talked about being frustrated, that sometimes being angry sometimes meant being frustrated, and just being able to talk about some of those emotions or some of those things that are going on. So I'm going to show what it is that I was talking about. So for those of you who cannot see the screen, I'll describe what it is that you can see, but you'll also be able to see it in the download if you want to request the download. So this here is a sample of the emotional wheel. And so what it says on the screen is nervousness can branch into tension. And so one of the things that we have in the center of the wheel is fear. So within fear, there's anxiety, there's dread, and there's nervousness. And then there's some more spots for other things. And so, but it's really important for us to be able to break down, what is it that we're seeing? What is it that's going on? And how can we expand the language of what it is that's going on? And a lot of times, and I talked about fear as being one of those emotions that show up as anger. And sometimes we're afraid of losing someone. Sometimes we're afraid of something bad happening to someone. And anxiety oftentimes will fall into that category as well. So it's just really important for us to be able to have a look at what are those feelings, what is it that's going on, and expanding that language. And so I went to my granddaughter's school the other day, and in their classroom, they actually have this thing that the teacher has actually been working on with emotions and being able to help them find the language that that works. And so she's in grade 3, and so I think that that's incredible that this teacher is actually putting that out there and wanting to be able to have that that information of how to be able to use our emotions, because a lot of times we haven't been taught how to be able to express our emotions. And so sometimes we have learned by example. And when we learn by example, sometimes that's not the most appropriate way of being able to respond to whatever it is that's going on. So when we look at so in the document that we have, so one of the things that I have is that we have this wheel that allows you to be able to put in 6 things and 1 thing in the middle, and it just allows you to be able to break it down. So I'll just kind of slide through really quickly. So it actually talks about like the different using the emotional wheel, going backwards now, and then it talks about surprise. So like sometimes if you're feeling surprised, so it gives you some other words to be able to use with them. So surprise sometimes can be amazement, astonishment, bewilderment, shock, awe, disgust, can show up as contempt, revulsion, detestation, abhorrence, and loathing. And so like it all just it's all just a way of being able to break down these emotions. And so that's what I wanted to share with you guys today, is about that, about not limiting our language, not limiting what it is that we are feeling, so that we have more words to be able to describe some things that are going on. And one of the things that that I do with my grandson, who's just a baby, is that we talk about I talk, he listens, or somewhat, but it's about like, so when he's feeling angry, oh, are you feeling hungry? Are you feeling sad? Are you, oh, you sound frustrated. Oh, that must have been really tough for you. Right. So like all these different ways of being able to help him when the language comes, like, obviously he's not going to use the words, but at least being able to, so like if he starts crying, oh, are you hungry? Right? So like, I am crying because I'm hungry. Are you crying because you don't want to have to go in your seat? Are you crying because you are frustrated with not being able to get yourself up to standing, or because you fell, or whatever it is? And it's just being able to teaching him how to be able to find the words to be able to express himself, so that when things come along, it will help. And like I said, with that teacher who's actually working with her grade 3 students to be able to help them find the words to be able to deal with whatever emotions are coming up, like, kudos to them. Because if we all would have learned how to be able to express ourselves at a younger age, chances are we wouldn't be where we are right now, struggling with what it is that's going on in terms of feelings. I know that growing up, if we started to cry, the response was, stop crying, or I'm going to give you something to cry about, right? Well, I'm already crying, so obviously I have something to cry about. However, that is just not the way that they actually handled things back then. It was like, you're just not allowed to cry. Boys were definitely not allowed to cry, because boys don't cry. They're just big and tough. And like, if they hurt themselves, they're just getting up and they're just moving along. And so we weren't given the language that we so needed to be able to express our emotions. So I encourage you to explore this emotional wheel and see where things are going to bring you in terms of being able to redirect your emotions. And on that note, I'm going to say goodnight, and I will see you guys tomorrow. And like I said, we're almost done, so not much longer before we are finished this particular challenge. So I will talk to you guys soon. Bye for now.